So hello everyone, my name is Haidar and I'm a data scientist at SAS. So I've been working at SAS for about 9 months now, straight out of university, although I did do a placement year where I worked within the pharmaceutical industry and I used SAS for a year. So I've used SAS for nearly 2 years now, but yeah, working as a data scientist. And really what I wanted to give you guys an overview of was the different roadmaps that we have, what we're doing within the VIA platform, what we're doing within the SAS 9 world, and so forth. Just with a show of hands, how many people have either seen or played with VIA? It's the majority, but there's still a good core of SAS 9 users, so to speak. But yeah, so like I said, my name is Haidar, although some of you might know me better as a SAS Sensei player. Don't know how many of you play it, but I've spent way too much of my free time on there. There's a couple of people within this ranking that are in this room, so yeah. So we might actually play this in a little bit. 11, it's not an awful lot. So I'm not good, I just play it a lot. So really what I wanted to give you is a roadmap of what we have, especially within the data science and analytics platform. We're looking at some of the things that we've done recently, what we've got planned in the short term, and a little bit of our vision in the longer term. Something that I do want you guys to keep in mind is information is subject to change. Some of these things aren't necessarily concrete and written down, but it's just what R&D are looking for to work on. So the first thing that I wanted to show you guys is visual analytics on VIA, and really a platform. It's very easy for me to talk and go all over slides, but I wanted to guys just give you a quick demo. And something that we have is automated analysis. What that does is you would just pick a certain variable and it would explain how all those variables link to that one. So I'll just play this video. For those of you who have not seen VA, this is VA on VIA. You would just create your dashboard, have a pie chart, and so forth, have a list. And when you click data on the top left side, you would get your different categories and measures. So assuming we want to do something like looking at the genre and look at the marketing budget for that. Easy way to do that is we would literally just click on the two different things. So we click on genre, we click on marketing budget, and you can literally just drag and drop that into your interface. And that will give you an update. You can resize it to make it a little bit more clearer. And in this particular case, we can see that Action has the highest marketing budget. This in itself would explain marketing budget in terms of your genre, but assuming you really want to study that marketing budget and how it relates to every single variable, it's not easy to just drag and drop every single one. So something that we've done is called automated analysis. So you select that variable, so in this case, marketing budget, right-click it to analyze. Assuming you want to analyze it on a new page, just click on that, and that would generate something which we call an automated analysis. So it gives you an average of the marketing budget. It will, by itself, in real time, group them together based on some of the variables that are available. It would, but in order, explain the variable importance, use a natural language generator to report on it, as well as creating a visualization. So here we can see that marketing budget, the biggest relationship is budget, not exactly groundbreaking, but it really just shows you the different things that are available. You can click on each of them and look at the variable importance. And if there's one thing that you wanted to remove, you just right-click it and remove revenue, for example. And again, in real time, that would give you that update. And it would update the by groups, it would update the averages if it's there, and it would change the visualization piece. You can also do this not just with measures, but with categories. So assuming we have a TV ad, again, you can right-click that, put it into a new page, and seeing how, just right-click that, go to analyze on a new page. And again, it would group them together. It would create a text explaining what it exactly does, put them by group. So here, 65% didn't have a TV ad, although 100% within this certain group, within that market that had less than that marketing budget or more than that marketing budget did have it. So really, it's a great way for you to really get started. So if you have a lot of data coming in, or a lot of variables coming in, instead of manually looking at everything, you can just click automated analysis, and just like that in real time, it will give you good explainability of that variable. Let's go to my next slide. So that is what we've done recently with visual analytics. Another stuff, visual statistics and visual data mining. For those of you that are familiar, this is again on VIA. Visual statistics was available on the SAS 9 world. Visual data mining and machine learning is the VIA version of Enterprise Miner. And what visual statistics tends to do is looking at some analysis of stuff like decision trees, logistic regression, and so forth, whereas visual data mining and machine learning looks at more sophisticated machine learning algorithms such as neural networks, gradient boostings, and so forth. And it would all be done in a visual interface. And after you have that, you can create something which is called pipelines, which is similar to, for those of you who have used Enterprise Miner, it is similar to a process flow. And you would just select your nodes, again, with a drag and drop interface, and get that information. And then once you have several models against each other, you can interpret them. So I just wanted to show you guys what it looks like before talking about the exact details. So this deck has got a lot of different details, a lot of things that we have in the roadmap. But I just wanted to highlight a few specific ones that I found very interesting and I think will be very influential for some of our customers and users. So one of the recent releases, we've got validation database tree pruning. What that does is occasionally if a decision tree is very large, you're very likely to overfit your training data. And this method allows you to really ensure that new models that come in using that decision, or new data that comes in using that decision tree, doesn't get affected by the overfitting what you've done. So it's really smart stuff to work on that. You can see that we're both working on a visual interface and a programming interface. Even though the VIA platform is very visually appealing and it has a lot of drag and drops, there is still a lot of programming in there for those of us who enjoy programming. Something else worth mentioning that we're going to look on later, in the next few months actually, is the visual statistics that the 7 dot version, which is on the 9 platform, a lot of numbers I know, is going to use a HTML5 front end as opposed to Adobe Flash front end. Because for those of you that are not aware actually, it is end of life for Flash products. So we're trying to move a lot of it to VIA, or in this particular case, we are moving it to a HTML front end. This isn't just a SAS issue. Flash in itself has got end of life. Another thing that we're looking for at the end of this year with the latest release would be clustering, profiling, and ABC criteria for clustering. So I think a lot of what tends to happen is with clustering, a lot of the data just gets clustered essentially without any interpretability. And clustering profiling really allows you to dive really deep into that data and get explainability as to what has led to that cluster being put together, especially when you are starting to use 10s, 20s, and 30s, like a lot more variables. Something else, from a visual interface, we're going to add survival analysis and PCA, principal component analysis, as well as a lot more natural language generators. So similar to what we saw with the automated analysis, we'll have a bit of a summary of what is exactly being done. If you have several models against each other, it will give you a summary of this model was the best model because of this and that. This variable was the most important one. So if you, as a data scientist or a data engineer, create that model, it is very easily shareable to someone without having to sit down and explain everything that's going on. It would automatically generate some text for you to explain that. So that is from a visual statistics bit. Visual data mining and machine learning. Essentially the newer version, the VIA version of Enterprise Miner. It really allows you to integrate end-to-end. It sits within this VIA platform. So if you have to do your data preparation, it is only one click away from visualization, which is only one click away from modeling, which is one click away from deployment. So all of it sits within that end-to-end spectrum of something that we call the analytical lifecycle, all available within VIA. And a lot of the times from our customers, we get a lot of questions of which machine learning model should I do? What really does this machine learning model do? And we've got business-friendly annotations that explain what each of the models do. And not just the models in terms of neural networks, even the pre-preparation, it gives you an explanation of what it does just by a click of the button. You're able to interpret results a lot easier. So we've got eyes, Lime, PDP, and SHAP, which is now becoming a lot more popular in the open source world, but really we've been doing it at SAS for a very long time. For those of you who have used Enterprise Miner, again, you are able to use a batch code and migrate all of your models from Enterprise Miner into VDMML, so you don't have to recreate all of it. And something that makes us really stand out, or what makes VDML really stand out, is the open source integration. You can use open source, whether it's Python or R, to be able to program some of your models. So if you wanted to look at different models, you can use Python and R to insert it in, let's say, your decision tree. And what it does, it uses the Python or R front end, but it calls SAS actions in the background. So something that makes VIA really good is in memory, you're able to process data a lot faster. And if your preference programming is Python, you can use your Python language, but call in the SAS action sets. Something that I don't want to go into an awful lot of detail because I could have a whole other presentation on this actually itself, is our deep learning and computer vision. Deep neural networks, convolutional neural networks, recurrent neural networks are all supported within this platform. And we do a lot of A-store scoring. What that does is, instead of that model having tens and thousands of hundreds of thousands of code lines to explain that, you can actually put it into a binary figure, so ones and zeros, and then just deploy that on any machine or anything that I think something that we're doing in terms of computer vision is having that machine learning or deep learning and just put that into a camera, and then the camera itself can do that scoring. Again, computer vision, not just within images, we can using event stream processors, which is our real-time scoring software. We can also analyze videos in real time as well. So that's the stuff that we have currently available. Some of the things that we're looking for what to do is post-processing coding. After you've created a decision tree, you can actually put that out in a code as opposed to having to deploy it. You can just create your decision tree and output that. I think both available within SAS or within Python, so you could do the SAS bit. You can do the creation of the model on SAS bit and get it out on open source, or get it out on SAS if you wanted to. As well as that, we really wanted to look at, again, the natural language generator and natural language just explainability to be able to interpret models and creating a hierarchy of you really being able to dive into this data and seeing what makes the model what it is. This is especially increasingly popular with banks and insurance companies where they have a lot of regulators and they can't have black box processes. So a lot of the things that we have are incredibly, you can really interpret that data very well and dive deeper into it. Something else that's available is Autotuning. So Autotuning allows you to hyperparameter some of the variables that you have available. So for example, if you have a neural networks, the number of hidden layers, what you can do is auto-tune it, and it would select the best number of hidden layers based on the data that you have. So as opposed to a data scientist just clicking 1 hidden layer, 2 hidden layer, 3 hidden layers, so forth, until it finds the best model, you can actually auto-tune, which runs all of it, and you tend to get the best score. And what we're doing is increasing that. So for example, within a decision tree, you can do the number of leaves and the number of how wide the tree could be. And what we're really trying to do is with gradient boosting and other models to increase that to make it more efficient. The segmentation layers or semantic segmentation is a computer vision piece really. So within YOLO, and I'm not sure how familiar you guys are with computer vision, but just to quickly explain, with YOLO version 1 and YOLO version 2, which is you only look once, you can get bounding boxes. So if you've seen a self-drive car, the way it recognizes another car is via a box. What we're trying to do here is really YOLO version 3, and it wouldn't necessarily see something as a box. It would actually get its exact figure And while it's on the move, it will be able to track that exact figure, which could be really increasingly useful for little small margins. And the best, like an example of what you can look at is a cat or a dog. If you can just draw exactly where the cat is or where the dog is and see their movements and so forth. In terms of what we've got for visual data mining and machine learning in the longer term, at the end of the year, we've got the latest release of Via 3.5, and it will be containerized. Essentially, we're able to get that to customers a lot quicker using these containers. Something else we have is you're able to create an entire open source model and then compare that via an entire SAS model. For those of you who have different data scientists working on different things, you're able to put that into your model manager and compare it to one another. And something which is very, very popular within Enterprise Miner that wasn't actually available until in visual data mining and machine learning is having a specific credit scoring node. I'm not sure why it took so long, but it will be available in visual data mining and machine learning soon. It will have its own individual node with credit scoring. And I think this is the final image for visual data mining and machine learning. Again, something that makes something that makes Via unique in what it is. It's the in parallel processes. So it can read a lot of data in parallel. So if you have, let's say, 4 cores, you can have it in 4 different streams coming in, and it makes it a lot quicker. This is now available for images as well, where you can run so many images and you can import them a lot quicker. In the very long term, what we've got is really, we want to integrate this machine learning capabilities that we have with forecasting and with text analytics as well. And what I'm really excited for is within the next few years, we're really trying to work on reinforcement learning. So as opposed to just supervised and unsupervised models that we have, really looking at that reinforcement learning where it can really learn from its models and create further things. So that's an area which I think will be really great in the next couple of years. So now some of the stuff outside of machine learning, in terms of conversational AI. So just the second bit, natural language generator. I've shown you guys little snippets here and there of where we're trying to apply that. But something that we're working on is voice to text. So this is a new capability, and I actually had a talk with some of the people in R&D earlier today about this, because even though it came out, I think 2 weeks ago, some of the customers are already very interested in it. You're able to get your voice, transfer it into text, and within that same platform have scores. So you can have a sentiment score of what customer was happy within a certain customer service within that same platform really quickly. You're able to train your own language models, and this can be a great thing for stuff like analyzing large pieces of data. And I think when we link it back to visual text analytics, if you have different languages in the long run, it will be able to differentiate that and have that in the same platform as well. We are working on a chatbot framework as well. So again, a lot of our customers have been trying to do a lot of work with chatbots. It's probably one of the most increasing things of popularity in the space of AI. A lot of the chatbots that are currently available are a long list of rules. But really what we were trying to do is have AI available in there where it can learn from the conversation it has, where it can adapt to it based on presumably assumptions that it can make about it. So whether it can make a certain assumption on what time it logs in. If you're logging in at 6 p.m., you might be a little bit more frustrated. You just came end of the working day. If you come within lunchtime, you might have a bit. So just really trying to integrate AI within the chatbot framework as opposed to having something like just a bunch of if statements coming in. And really what we want to do afterwards in that is just increasing those functionality, increasing the natural language generator, adding more languages to voice to text and so forth. Just quickly on visual forecasting, what we're trying to do, similar to some of the other things that you've seen, start at the bottom, integrate SAS code and integrate open source code within there. So from that first image, if you remembered when we had the pipelines, really trying to put some SAS code into there, because what we tend to see is sometimes you have the data available and some people want to do their own data preparation via SAS code. I personally sometimes like to get my hands dirty and really do a little bit of coding, but you could have that available, just the data coming in. You can do your own data prep and then put, let's say, a decision tree or a neural network at the end of it, both within SAS and within Python. And in terms of visual text analytics, again, integrating that open source piece. It is available within data mining and machine learning, but really what we want to do is have that on visual text analytics and in forecasting platforms as well as enhancing some of the natural language processes we have, whether it's language detection, similar to what I said before. If you have a large list of documents, I don't know if any of you have ever gone through, let's say, an app review. You sometimes get a lot of different languages, and it could be a bit of a data prep hassle to get them split from each other. But within our natural language processing, you can, within that same document, they will be able to detect the languages, potentially translate them and so forth. And again, more support on the natural language generator. So that's the main overviews that I gave you from a VIA platform. Just very quickly going on SAS 9. There are still a lot of capabilities that are available. For example, SAS OR, we are still working on it. I won't go into detail on the exact things, but we are still working on enhancing it, and we've got plans in the future to further enhance it. Although within OR, it is probably similar to SAS optimization, which is now available in VIA. SAS stat is similar to visual statistics, which is now available. So going forward in the future is definitely SAS VIA. That's how we see it. However, we're not just going to let go of the SAS 9 world so far. So you can see we are still working in 2018, 2020, further enhancements within ETS, IML. And finally, you can see some of the enterprise miner, factory miner, forecast server. We are looking for additional enhancement, but the last update itself was a platform update. 2020 might very well be a platform update and a few features added in. But like I said, the future is definitely VIA. What we have finally with Enterprise Guide is there will be a new version available of Enterprise Guide, which will be web-based. So I'm guessing a lot of you are using Enterprise Guide. I use Enterprise Guide quite a lot. There will be a new version which is completely web-based. For those of you that come to the UK forum, there is a presentation about that in a little bit more detail. But it will be similar to what a SAS Studio interface would look like, but with the Enterprise Guide capabilities. So just to give you a high-level overview of where SAS are really heading towards openness, we really want to be able to, people that are coming out from academic backgrounds with Python and R skills, we want to not just push them away. It doesn't have to be SAS versus Python, SAS versus R, SAS versus whatever open source tool you want to use. We really want to enable you to use both, whatever your language of preference is. VIA is just that complete hub where you can do your analytics. Natural language generator, you saw that nearly everything that we've looked at has some sort of natural language generator, just to be able to interpret that data, interpret whatever is done there, for really to collaborate within your teammates. For those less technical people, they wouldn't necessarily look at a decision tree and know exactly what's going on. So the data scientists can have fun making the best models they can have available, and then we can give a summary of everything that's just explaining really what it does. Want to make things as simple and powerful as possible. You can see with the different parallel image loading, we really want to enhance the power and make things a lot quicker, but at the same time, very simple. Drag and drop interface for those who need it. Automation is a very big thing as well. Like I said, for example, with the chatbots, just really automating that process, being able to enhance it further. And really, VIA is the future that we're looking at. Thank you very much.